Hello everybody and welcome to Station 10 titled Early Government. In this station we're going to talk about Washington's Farewell Address. We're going to talk about the Adams-Onis Treaty, the Monroe Doctrine, and the Missouri Compromise. Alright, let's get started. The first thing we're going to talk about, this is a little backtracking, not necessarily in the right time order as the other ones, but this one right here, this is Washington's Farewell Address. Okay, so after George Washington was president for 8 years, he was president for 8 years because he thought that if he was president any longer, that he'd be taking too much power. This is the reason why presidents can only serve 8 years today, because George Washington set a precedent, which means a rule made a while ago that people continue to follow. Okay, a precedent. So George Washington in his farewell address, there's a major quote that he says. It says, "Political parties are likely to become potent engines by which cunning, ambitious, and unprincipled men will be enabled to subvert the power of the people and to usurp for themselves the reins of government." Now, what all this means is, let me break it down for you. What George Washington is saying is that political parties, right, so like Republicans and Democrats, are likely to become very strong political powers, by which cunning, which is like being sneaky, driven, and unmoral men, so people who lie, cheat, and steal. So these are people who are sneaky, that really want power, and they don't really have morals, okay? So they're saying that these political parties are going to become potent engines, which are these things so where they really want power, and by being sneaky, they will be able to subvert the power of the people. Okay, now subverting the power of the people means that they are going to undermine our democracy, okay, and usurp themselves the reins of government. So he says that political parties are bad because they're going to become sneaky, ambitious machines that take control of the government. Now, what he's warning about here is he's warning that political parties are going to become too powerful in his farewell address. And George Washington's farewell address is important because we can look back now and we can see that Democrat and Republicans run everything, okay? So when you go up there to choose, you really only have two choices. George Washington thought that we should elect people, not parties, okay? So George Washington's warning about political parties still is very true today. He warns us that political parties will ruin our system. Okay. Alright. So that was George Washington's farewell address. While this is all going on, there's some other presidents, and what's going on here is this is the Adams-Onis Treaty. The Adams-Onis Treaty is a land treaty that we did with Spain, and Spain basically gave us this area down here, gave us Florida, gave us the Panhandle, and the Panhandle stretched out all the way to here at the time, and they gave us this edge of Louisiana as well, okay? The reason why Spain gave it to us was because they were threatened by our military power, okay? So in the Adams-Onis Treaty, the United States acquired Florida and this whole coastline right here. It was actually a pretty big treaty, and the United States didn't pay a dime for it because Spain didn't want to be attacked by us. Alright, so moving on. Then James Monroe shows up, and James Monroe declares a Monroe Doctrine. And the Monroe Doctrine is basically a statement that says that Europe needs to stay out of the North and South America. So the United States was saying, we have full control over this area, do not come over here. So the Monroe Doctrine states that European nations need to stay out of North America and South America, which are right here on the map. So Europe needs to stay out of North America and South America. That's what the Monroe Doctrine states. Okay? Alright, so then this is a time of a lot of change. This right here, this is the Missouri Compromise line. Now, we just got done with the Civil War, so if you look at this line is very close to the Civil War states, okay? And basically, what the Missouri Compromise did was it made it so that there was an even number of slave and free states. What happened was in 1820, this right here, Missouri, wanted to become a slave state. But when they wanted to become a slave state, there was not an equal number of slave and free states. So the slave states wanted Missouri to become a state so they could have more power. Free states did not want them to become a state because then they would have less power. So what they do is they strike a deal called the Missouri Compromise, okay? And what happens is that they let Missouri enter the Union as a slave state, but they also create Maine as a free state to equal the balance. And then they say that every state north of this line, when it becomes a state, will automatically be a free state. So every single state up here, when it becomes a state in the future, will be a free state. Now, it gives the South the power right now with an extra slave state, but in the future, it's going to give the North a lot more political power. Okay? So it's a compromise to let Missouri in as a slave state and let in Maine as a free state, and every state north of this line in the future would become a slave state. This is one of the big issues that's going to lead to the Civil War in the future. Okay, now that we're done with this, make sure you go down to the description and watch the bonus video. Thank you very much.